Welcome to Houston Newsmakers Extra. I've been talking with State Senator Paul Bettencourt, and we're talking about the civility or lack of civility in politics, talking about how you have these conversations really on tough issues. We were talking about the Medicaid expansion and why the state doesn't want to do that and so forth. You notice around the country, some states, voters have decided to overrule the legislators. Have you seen that where voters have said, you know what, I know you guys are saying we don't want it, but we want it. Have you been watching that, and you taking any notes about that?
Khambrel, I have. In Texas, there's no initiative in referendum. Now, as a property tax, proponent of lower taxes, I like that theory because I put it into Senate Bill 2. So if people move their property taxes, the elected officials do, above a certain trigger, it's called the voter approve rate, it will go to the voters for approval. So, I'm not afraid of having that discussion with the public. And really, what I've said was true. The mathematics are, by my guess, it would cost us about at least $1.6 billion that right now we just don't have.
So what's the long-term answer to health insurance? For example, whenever we look at things, we like to say we're number one in a lot of issues, but we don't like being number one in Texas in terms of our ranking for uninsured. I know the last poll, I looked at the census data that showed Texas number one, followed by Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, and Alaska, that were in terms of numbers of people who were uninsured, and the children uninsured even goes higher. So in terms of priorities, how do you get that conversation going so that can be changed some way, shape, or I don't have the answer, but somehow along the way, I got to believe that you and everybody there in Austin does not like seeing us always at the top of that list in terms of the uninsured.
Khambrel, that's a great question. Now, what you can look at those stats, and you have to understand that, like, those debates ripple through society, and they ripple through government, like the debate about who is being counted in the census or not. Okay, now because that's going to be settled in the courts this fall. Now, when you look at the numbers here in our state budget, over a third of the budget is education, but also over a third is health and human services. And what we have to have, and we will in this environment, we're going to be having to reduce budgets about 5% across the board. And then we're going to be having to look at the cost containment in health and human services versus what you get. Now, we've had some cases very strong bipartisan agreement, like Child Protective Services was underfunded. It was totally mismanaged. And Whitmire and I, as two senators, just barbecued these bureaucrats at Finance Committee meetings because they wouldn't answer questions, okay? And what answers they gave us didn't make any sense. So we're going to have some really tough hearings to look for areas. And I think part of the problem that we've been having in Texas is we made a mistake. This was right before I got there, where we took these big four huge silos in health and human services and put them all into one giant agency and expect one person to somehow be a genius and manage 55,000 employees in the state. I don't like that, and I'm actually going to be looking at bills to break that back up so we can really look at what we're doing with our federal and state monies to help people and make sure that it's getting done at the most efficient manner. Because I think what conservatives and liberals agree, that if we're blowing the money, it's not getting to the person that needs it, and the taxpayers' dollars are being wasted. So I'm hoping that we can find that common ground. Senator
Bettencourt, we never have enough time. Thank you. I'm glad to know that you're leading the charge on this. I can feel the choruses of Kumbaya right now. The question is, how many verses will we get through before we get this thing solved? But I know that you're going to be the good leader on that.
Well, all I can say is, we'll live long and prosper no matter what.
Thank you, Senator. It's always good to talk to you. This one online, we have a lot of them offline, and I'm glad to have this one. Hopefully we'll have other conversations with other folks from the other side of the aisle as well.
And really, Khambrel, that's what it's all about. Yeah. We've got to get back to start talking to each other again. Yeah. That's something that, at least in the Texas Senate, I think we still do. We're the last body that actually has the same lunchroom that I know of, west of the Mississippi. So it's like the old cartoon, if you remember. There was the sheepdog and the coyote, and they would be out trying to outdo each other, and then you blow the whistle, and everybody would sit down and have lunch and talk about it. That's how it works in the Texas Senate. So I'm looking forward to that. Even in a hyperbolic partisan year, that will be in the rearview mirror, and we'll see what we can do in 2021.
Thank you, Senator Bettencourt. Appreciate you as always. Be safe, and we'll talk to you down the line. Houston Newsmakers Extra, share it with everybody you know.